And then as the features are built up, they're really built to support that team collaborative environment, which I think speaks to a lot of this. I think that gets to your question of how do we, why is this any different? Why is this different than maybe some applications that were created 10, 15 years ago? And the world has changed quite a bit, right? The internet has influenced quite a bit of the business world.
It's such you bringing up both of you brought up such a subtle point, which is, I can get to it from anywhere. If you think about it, it's like any traditional network has an S drive, and you've got to have a VPN to get into it. And, if you want to have a centralized document, I can only open up the document if someone else tries to get into that document at the same time. It's locked, okay? Right. You kind of take that for granted. But if you threw all of that out the window and said none of that is now necessary, there's a central place, you don't need a VPN anymore, you can open up the document. By the way, other team members can open up the document, and they can make changes in it simultaneously, right? And you don't have to worry about a VPN, you don't have to worry about where you are. You can collaborate on this thing, and when I mean collaborate, I mean really collaborate, because there's collaboration tools built into docs and spreadsheets and everything else. I mean, I got to tell you this. I mean, we're a Microsoft shop, and we've got Office on everybody's desktop. Don't throw me out of here, but we were putting together our we had to put together. We have a roadmap for our business, right? ConnectWise roadmap. I mean, we've got a roadmap for our development, but we have a roadmap for the business, and every single department leader has to put in their objectives quarter by quarter by quarter. And that's something that we build and we keep constantly working on, right? It's a work of art. It's constantly a collaborative effort. We couldn't do it. It was something, we passed the document around, and I said, you know what, why don't y'all just throw that up in Google Docs? And boy, I tell you what, it made it a whole lot easier because everybody could get into it, everybody could change it. And so our most important document, even though we're pretty much a Microsoft shop, our most important document that runs our entire business, the only way that we could really get it to work and collaborate was to put it up into Google Docs. So, I got to tell you, it's like all of a sudden, that was an aha moment for me. All of a sudden, we're starting to say, there's a lot more things that we need to be putting up there just for collaboration and accessibility.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that in my experience of now, working with partners around Google Apps for multiple years here. Using it is a big. People have that aha moment as users, and a lot of our successful partners started. I mean, Eric was just saying earlier, you get started as a user yourself. And Google started. We started using Google Apps about 6 months before it was publicly available, which made it a little bit tricky as we tried to work out the bugs. But we had 20,000 employees on it, including all of our sales reps. I think what we need to do is get to the point where our partners, as we grow the IT nation, right? As the IT nation becomes more users of the Google Apps suite, and not just users like they have an account, but users in that they're using it in interesting ways. They're using sites in some of the ways that Eric was talking about. They're using Docs as not just a storage mechanism, but as a storage and sharing mechanism in a way to do like shared whiteboards and to do and actually map that to business processes, right? Map that to the processes of HR, onboarding or budgeting and spreadsheets, like things like that I think are common business use cases that where a collaborative tint on that I think can make a massive difference in terms of productivity.
Right, and an interesting way to summarize that would be if the tool is simple enough, then you're not spending another time figuring out how to use the tool, but you're figuring out I can do this with the tool.
Right.
And that's the key difference here with a Google Apps solution. As straightforward and simple as it is, you get to start looking at the business process side and what are the cool things I can do to create greater efficiency within the organization that you're serving, as opposed to spending all the time focusing on, how do I actually unravel and understand this tool?
Yeah.
And that's the evolution.
You're right. Great point.
That I see needs to happen in order for managed service companies like Augusto to continue to stay sticky, to continue to grow our organizations and grow our business. That's that value add. That's how we become the trusted advisor, is by moving away from just focusing on the tool and moving into how does this tool help that organization do more with less.
Absolutely. So, I think those are awesome points. We're going to go on to our next big subject. Are you ever worried about everything ending up in the cloud so much so that all of a sudden, oh my God, where's my managed service revenue?
I'll answer it this way. Second Wind is a unique example 2 years ago where I sat down with the CFO and we put together a strategy to move everything to the cloud.
You probably ought to be rolling if you're not.
Our managed service revenue hasn't gone down. It's gone up.
Okay, there you go.
Because, again, it comes down to the management of the users, moves as changes, all the same stuff that you typically do within a managed service agreement is still getting done.
All right,
it still needs to get done.
So your managed service revenue has not gone down. Here's the fear of the IT nation. I move stuff into the cloud. I am now sacrificing my managed service revenue. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to try and hold on to the way things are today. And if you try and hold on to infrastructure under the SMB business's roof, you're fighting a losing battle because it's going to go. It's going to go leak out into the cloud sooner or later.
You know, you speak a lot about the evolution of the IT services industry going back, multiple decades, and I work that into a lot of conversations that I have with prospective partners as well. And I think the way that I see successful partners, and Eric has kind of touched on this quite a bit, is that they see Google Apps. Just the simplest way to put it is they see Google Apps as an opportunity to jump up the value chain, to take it from that next level. You got products, services, managed services. It's what is that next level? Is it application management? I do know that it's moving up the value chain. And so when I talk to people who've got an infrastructure-based business, primarily, they see Google Apps as an opportunity. Let's say take some of that infrastructure, say an Exchange server, outsource that to Google's cloud, and move them onto Gmail. That's going to lower their own support operating costs. It's going to lower their trouble ticket volume to some degree. It's going to lower their emergency weekend on-site visits. It's going to reduce patch management, things like that. That's going to provide them the resources, people, time, money, et cetera, to work on higher value, more strategic client-facing activities. And Eric talked about some of those. I have to say, a lot of the people that I talk to who are in that, either aspiring to or in that, trusted advisor role, I can stop there because they have a big, long to-do list of things that they know that, independent of Google, they know that if they got the opportunity to work on these things, the clients would get tremendous value from that, and they can monetize that. And so if all working with Google Apps did was free up those resources to do that, that in and of itself is a big win. And then we talk about, now as you kind of get into using the applications yourselves, you can kind of see this where they can add to that to-do list with Google Apps specific recurring revenue services. So some of the things that we talked about around sites, and just to kind of when I talk to people, I think there's at least four areas that 4 or 5 areas that come up. One is around, so Google Sites is our team, kind of our umbrella collaboration suite for team site building and things like that. I tell partners, get in there, become a user of that, become a power user to the point where you're able to build and manage sites to help businesses re-engineer their business processes, to help them with workflow, to help them, in a sense, play a bit of a project management role on particular projects, or help them with marketing campaign management. There's tons of different ways in which that can be used. Another thing is we talk a little bit about is Google Gadgets, or this just the concept of having.
Well, I want to before you hit gadgets, I want to stop on sites for just a second, because I think that's huge. One of the things that we're seeing with SharePoint, which is kind of if you will, the thing that most of our partners in the IT nation know, is you got to have this specialized SharePoint programmer and everything else. From what I've heard, sites is pretty simple to implement. True? Not true?
Yeah, very simple.
Okay.
I'll put it this way.
And very powerful with regard to collaboration.
Yeah, the Sites is very straightforward and very easy to leverage, and that's, I think, part of where it becomes